Hello guys, so in the previous video we learned how to create a table called countries with the following fields: ID, name, population and area. And we also defined a function that is going to insert countries, single countries into the table. And then we also created a function that could access an array of countries and then insert them into the table. So after defining those functions, we used them to insert these countries into the database, and then we did nothing else. So in this video I'm going to show you how we can create a new function that is going to read the countries from the database, and then we're going to display them to our users. So I'm going to define a new function here. It's going to get all countries from the DB. I'm just going to call it find all. Okay, so we're going to define a function, and I'm just going to call it find all. And just as the other function is going to accept the DB, okay, it's going to accept the DB, and then we're going to return an array. Of course, an array of countries. So it's going to be models.country, and then we can return the error for the purpose of handling the errors. The first thing we're going to define, of course, we can just call it query. Then we're going to define our query. So when you're dealing with the SQL, of course, for you to access the whole data set from a given table, just say select and then a star from the name of the table. Okay, if you want to select all the columns and all the row, you can say select star. So when you use this star, it means I'm going to select all the columns, okay, from countries. And of course I'm using countries because this is my table name. Okay, and then I'm going to return the rows, of course, with an error. And then I'm going to execute the query db.query. Then I'm going to supply the query. Of course I'm going to handle the error, because in this case I'm going to just say return nil, otherwise return the error. Okay, after doing that, I'm going to defer, closing this until the function finishes execution. Then I'm going to define a variable called countries that is going to hold the countries that have been extracted from the database. Okay, then I'm going to use rows.next, okay, so that I can look through those rows. Then I'm just going to models.country, and then I'm going to be scanning, then using my models to get that data and to be able to access that data. So I'm going to scan through these rows.scan. The first thing I'm going to access is the ID, .id, and then the name, and then the population, and then the area. Okay, so that I can be able to do the same thing. And then I'm just going to copy this so that I can handle that in case of an error. And then after everything is successful, after we have gotten everything, just going to append this. Okay, using this model, because we're using the model ID name, as you can see here, ID name using the same exact format on the area. Then after appending this, now I can return the countries. Okay, can return the countries. Now I'm going to come back here, so that after adding all this, I'm just going to get all countries, of course using the function that we have just defined, this find all. Then I'm going to, of course, I was returning countries, of course, with an error. I'm just going to say utils.find all, and of course I'm going to supply the db. Because after supplying the db, I need to, of course, handle that error. So I'm just going to say if error is not equal to nil, I'm going to print out the error. I'm going to print the error, then I'm going to return. Okay, and then after returning this, I have to loop through this so that I can print them out. So I'm just going to print the country and its population. I'm just going to say, I can use this one for arrange. Then maybe I can say this is going to be countries, of course. So I can just say this is going to be country, a single country. And then I'm just going to print this. Now since I want to display the name and the value, I'm just going to use printf. Then I can say country. Now since it is a string, it's going to be s. And then population, since it's a confirmed population is an integer, I can just use d. Okay, then I can maybe move it to the second line, so that's c.name, no, not c, country.name, then country.population. So we're looping through this, and then we're going to print this out. So I'm going to run this. Yep. So after successfully, since we only have 3 countries, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, we are successfully creating the DB, we are successfully creating the table, and we are inserting the data successfully. And then we are also successfully calling the data, so the country and the population. So guys, basically this is how you can select all the data from your SQL database. So that's it for this video. See you in the next video.